Welcome back to StabtheDragon Productions for episode number 151 as we return to our Texas Rye Whiskey Tournament. Bracket number 2, the Elite 8, match number 4. Now in bracket 1, what I was looking for was that pure, clean rye flavor that you get with prototypical ryes. And I'm examining Texas rye whiskeys here, but there's two kinds of Texas rye whiskeys. There's that first kind that has that pure, clean rye flavor. Then there's the second kind, and that's bracket 2. The emphasis is simply on which rye whiskey do I like best, but as it turns out, in bracket 2, the whiskeys with the Texas funk, that barrel char, that some people hate, others love, and I'm in that category. I love the Texas funk. That barrel char, those oak notes come out loud and clear. And so you've got two very different kinds of rye whiskeys here in the state of Texas. So which one is going to win? Right now in bracket 2, clearly the rye whiskeys with the Texas funk are ahead. So tonight we're going to be looking at two amazing ryes, Balcones, Texas Rye. There you go. This is my third bottle of Balcones. So this is a favorite. This is the one that I picked to win the entire tournament right here. Balcones comes out of Waco, Texas. But they recently sold out to Diageo. Broke my heart. Just like TX whiskey here in Fort Worth. They sold out. Firestone Robertson sold out to Pernod Ricard, right? And so those are two of the biggest whiskey distilleries in Texas. I don't know how big Garrison Brothers is, and I've heard that Giant down in Houston is actually the largest facility. But as far as who puts out the most whiskey, I think it's got to be Balcones. So I could not find the stats on that to be sure. But nonetheless, this is a now adopted cousin to Johnny Walker, right? Because they're owned by Diageo as well. And what that does for Balcones is it puts Balcones out on the world market even more than it already was. So, well, this is, again, like I said, one of my absolute favorite ryes. It's my third bottle at least. Balcones was the second distillery in Texas after Prohibition. Okay, back in 2008. They got a license just a little bit after Garrison Brothers. But the deal was Balcones came out with a corn whiskey first. And so they beat Garrison Brothers to the marketplace, actually. And so Balcones can claim, hey, we're the first ones to sell whiskey in Texas. So there you go. But this whiskey is a 100% rye mash bill. And it's got a handful of different ryes, I guess. And I've read that it's aged, this says on the bottle, at least 24 months in oak. So there you go. And it says never chill filtered or colored. The color that you see here, that's what Texas climate does to whiskeys. If you let it. There's ways to let it not do that. Okay. This is a 100 proof, but it's not a bottled in bond. They are, however, I've seen on the website coming out with a bottled in bond rye. So that will be pricey, I'm sure. This one, Total Wine's got it for $41.99. Specs, $40.73. Goody Goody is the winner at $39.99. And its competitor tonight is the little known and underappreciated Tahwahkaro. This is Texas Rye Malt Whiskey. Coming out of, the bottle says Grapevine, Texas, but I think they've moved to Palestine, Texas now. They bought a bigger facility. They started in 2016, and Tahwahkaro, what they did, they operated differently than what other distilleries have done. They did not go to gin and vodka first. They put all their eggs in one basket, and that was the whiskey basket. So they've got a 4-grain bourbon that is phenomenal, and they've got this 105 proof rye malt whiskey right here. So this is really some amazing stuff. And it's aged. Let's see if I can get the age statement here. Aged, let's see. Aged not less than 1 year. There you go. So, year-old, 2-year-old. And look how dark these are. So, Tahwahkaro, though, is not available everywhere. Goody Goody's got it for $59.99. They're mighty proud of that whiskey, and but it's good stuff. And the website at Specs and Total Wine did not have it, so it's hard to come by, apparently. I don't know how wide the distribution of Tahwahkaro is, but I know Balcones is all over the globe by now. So what we're going to do, we have mixed up these whiskeys, and I do not know which is which in these glasses. Their visual appearance is pretty much identical, okay? Can't really tell them apart. This one, whichever one this one is, might be a little bit darker. And if that is the case, I don't know. They're so close. I don't know if it's darker or not, but I'm going to guess, just from appearance, that this is the Tahwahkaro, which I think is a little bit darker than Balcones. The Balcones glass has a number 1 on the bottom, and the Tahwahkaro has a number 2. And so that's part of the fun, is trying to see if I can figure out which is which. Oh man, in my Balcones, is my cork starting to fall apart? There's something floating in my Balcones. Great. I think my cork is falling apart. How does that happen? All right. We're going to judge also the bottles. Okay, this is the standard short, stubby, round bottle. It's a very boring bottle, but it does have a little fiddly bit there by Balcones. It's got their logo on there. Balcones, by the way, is named for a geologic fault that runs through Texas, there in Waco. The label's actually pretty nice, you know, and it's got the green symbolizing rye whiskey, and it's got, you know, that's a pretty classy label. So the bottle is okay. But with Tahwahkaro, first of all, the name Tahwahkaro comes from it's an Indian name for the creek that runs through Grapevine. But here's the problem. They named their whiskey off of a local creek where they started in Grapevine, and now they moved to Palestine. So that, you know, it's like Baptist churches. You name a Baptist church after a geographic feature, and then they move, okay, or after a street or a road, then they move, and they're no longer on that road. There you go. So anyway, Tahwahkaro, it's an Indian name, and this is a Wild West canteen flask, right? It's got the canteen shape. If you've ever seen some old cowboy movies or Western U.S. cavalry movies, the canteens look kind of like this. And I think that's cool. Now, there's a problem with these, is that they take up so much shelf space. I have read stories of people looking for this whiskey, and they're in the store, they turned it sideways like that to give them more shelf space. Of course, there's no label there, so that's a problem. So Tahwahkaro can improve by putting a label there and help people on the stores and the retail. But otherwise, their label is bold. It takes up the whole front, which is never, I don't think that's a good idea, because it obscures the whiskey. And here's a funny story. When I bought this, the whiskey is so dark, I thought the glass was painted black. I thought it was black glass. And it turns out, after I poured down below the neck here, then I realized, oh, that's the whiskey. It's that dark. So anyway, which one has the best bottle? I think label goes to Balcones, but bottle goes Tahwahkaro. So I'm going to side with Tahwahkaro on the bottle. I think that canteen flask is just awesome. So now I've mixed up these whiskeys. I don't know which is which, but I'm going to start on the left. And I think this is glass number 1. I think it's going to be Balcones, but we're going to sniff it and see. Now my nose does not work very well, and my sinuses and allergies are bad today anyway, but I'm smelling the Texas funk in a strong way, and some rye buried deep underneath the Texas funk. Caramel. I mean, that smells very inviting, very delicious. So I'm going to say that's Balcones, but let's smell this other one. They're going to be similar. These two whiskeys are very similar. This one's not quite as strong as the first one, but similar, just a little bit muted. I'm getting the Texas funk, a little bit of rye buried in the background, caramel or molasses going on. Again, fantastic. The nose is going to have to go to the first one. All right, it's time to taste, and I'm going to go from left to right. So we'll see. Wow. That's got some proof to it. I bet this is the Tahwahkaro by taste. I bet this is glass number 2. That's again, you get the Texas funk, but there's the sweet there, molasses, maybe dark fruits, hints of chocolate and coffee. Wow. I mean, that's just amazing. Again, these two whiskeys are very similar. But going off the burn, the mouthfeel, I'm thinking that's the Tahwahkaro. So I'm going to switch these around. I don't have my Topo Chico to cleanse my palate today because I got lime Topo Chico, which is good, but it's not good for cleansing your palate. So this is the second glass, but now I'm thinking that this might be Balcones. Nope. First one was Balcones. This one should say number 2 on the bottom. This is the Tahwahkaro. Tahwahkaro's got just a little bit more of a sharpness to it, showing its youth, I think. Very similar flavor profile, though. You're getting the Texas funk, some hints of chocolate and coffee, sweetness, kind of a caramel molasses. Oh, tobacco. Yeah, I'm getting tobacco. Wow. Finish on this one's better, I think. Yeah, that one's a little bit sharper. Not as well-rounded as the first one. And so I'm thinking that's the Tahwahkaro, but the tobacco note on the finish is amazing. So looking at these again, I'm thinking this one's a little bit darker. Its nose was not as good. Taste not as well rounded. And man, the first one had felt like the higher proof though. But this one's got maybe the better finish. Wow. This is hard. These two, I mean, these are the two that I thought would go down to the finish line. The way I set up the tournament is I'm having these two go against each other too early. All right, I'm gonna, man, this is hard. I'm gonna, they're so close. They're good at different things, but I'm gonna say this is number one, Balcones, and it's the winner. Let me see. Oh, this is Tahwahkaro. Wow. Okay. My favorite rye in the world was Balcones. Tahwahkaro just knocked it off. Unbelievable. It's that proof that did it. That 105 proof won the day. I'm not really a proof hound, but I do like the burn of whiskey. I grew up eating hot peppers. And so I've got a real high tolerance for heat. And that's one of the things that I really like about whiskey is the burn. And this one had the better burn. And I thought, man, that's got to be the Tahwahkaro. And then after tasting it, it's like, no. Wow. Tahwahkaro won. Oh, man. You know, I could probably do this competition again tomorrow and pick a different winner. Although that proof, that 105 proof, you would think five proof points don't make that much difference. But I think combined with its youth, it comes out more bold and something. I mean, I don't know. All right, well, we've got a winner, and it wasn't the one I thought. This was a surprise. I mean, I knew they were close. I knew it was going to be tough between these two. But I really thought Balcones would win the day. So Tahwahkaro's the winner, but it's $60 a bottle versus $40 a bottle. Is it worth it? Dang, I think so. When this bottle is done, I will look for another one. I'll tell you that. I mean, these two whiskeys are two of my just favorite. But I've been through, you know, this is my third bottle of Balcones rye because it's more affordable. And I've also, you know, I started drinking Balcones way before I found Tahwahkaro. But we have a winner. And so Tahwahkaro advances in the Texas Rye Whiskey Tournament bracket 2. So we'll pick up next week, and that will be the final 4 next week. So we will see you again next time. This is Stab the Dragon out here.